Hello, people folk. I am here to tell you the tale of the unofficial Minecraft Mysteries series box set by Winter Morgan, national best-selling author of Quest for the Diamond Sword. I cannot talk. This includes 6, and I repeat 6, thrilling stories from Minecrafters, and I will be doing a dramatic reading of each and every one of them. Today's episode is Book 1, Stolen Treasure, an unofficial Minecrafters mystery series by Sky Pony Press, and Winter Morgan. 6 great books for the price of 1. This was $5, by the way, so here we go. Stolen Treasure, Book 1. Hold up. Watch out, Billy cried to his friend Edison. What? Where? Edison was confused. He wasn't sure which direction he should turn. He looked to the left, but there was only an empty staircase with a patch of soul sand and netherwood growing on the side. Look to the right, cried Billy. He pulled out his diamond sword and his blue helmet and almost fell off his head. He brushed back his black hair from his eyes. From the corner of his eye, Edison could see a dark skeleton sprinting in his direction. Before Edison had time to move, the skeleton plunged his stone sword into Edison's unarmored leg. Ouch! He wailed as he was afflicted with the wither effect, which turned his health ball black and left him frozen, exhausted, as he stood powerless in the nether fortress. Billy slammed his sword into the wither skeleton, but it was tricky and powerful mob. The skeleton leapt at Billy, striking his arm and unleashing the wither effect. Billy's voice was low and Edison could barely make out the words that fell from his lips. We need milk. Do you have any? The wither effect was fading, and Edison mustered enough energy to reach into his inventory and pull out a bottle and take a sip of milk, instantly energizing him and erasing the damage from the wither skeleton's stone sword. With renewed energy, he grabbed his diamond sword to pierce the skeleton with one hand and handed the milk to Billy with the other. The wither skeleton was destroyed, dropping a skull on the ground that Edison pocketed. Edison felt invigorated, like he could do anything. He had just decimated his first wither skeleton, and he helped his friend Billy, the legendary treasure hunter. Thanks, the milk hit the spot, said Billy. We have to go down this hall and get the treasure. Billy pointed to a hall beyond the pillar. But first, you should try to get some soul sand and netherwood. They're vital for brewing potions, right? Edison's brewing supplies were quite low, which was the reason he had accompanied his friend and neighbor on the treasure hunt to the nether. The morning before, he was working on some new potions at his brewing table, but he was low on many ingredients and he couldn't brew anything. Both soul sand and netherwood were essential for making potions, and Edison knew he had to get as much as he could. He picked up a shovel from his inventory and started to collect soul sand and netherwood. I'll help you. Billy clutched his shovel as he kept an eye out for the other hostile mobs that might be spawning in the dimly lit nether fortress. As Edison filled up his inventory with the 2 ingredients, he looked up. I see a light. There was a silver of light. Silver? What? 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 Is this a misspelling, or am I just stupid? Is that right? Is that okay, anyway. Do you think someone is there? No, Billy replied. It looks like it's just glowstone on the walls. Glowstone? Edison asked. Awesome. We can collect glowstone dust. Do we have time to mine a few pieces from the wall? Yes, Billy said, but we should make it quick, because I want to get to the treasure. You never know who is lurking down there, and I want to get to the treasure before anyone else. Anyone else? Edison was confused. You never know who's going to show up in the nether, said Billy. I haven't seen anyone down here at all, remarked Edison as he pulled the final bits of netherwood from the side of the stairs and walked toward the glowing hallway. The nether fortress was hot, and Edison's brown hair was dripping with sweat. Walking down the hallway, he soaked in the beauty of the luminous wall. He pulled out a pickaxe and broke off the piece of the glowstone and placed it in his inventory, taking a break to drink some tea. I don't need too much. Do you want any? Asked Edison. Billy shook his head. I'm fine. I just want to get to the treasure. I think it's down there. The 2 walked to the hallway but stopped when they heard a bouncing noise. "What's that sound?" Edison asked as he nervously took out his diamond sword. "Magma cubes." Billy pointed to the room in front of them. "We have to destroy them." "What are they?" asked Edison. He wasn't a skilled treasure hunter, despite calling himself an explorer. He hadn't really spent much time in the Nether. He wasn't a fan of the hot, timeless biome where fiery mobs flew through the air and threatened you with fireballs. He much preferred the overworld, where he'd happily travel through any biome, including the ice and the desert. He understood the overworld. There was a sense of time. In the Nether, he always felt out of sorts, and he could never enjoy himself. "Over here," Billy hollered as he ripped into a large bouncing magma cube, slicing the 3 smaller cubes that surrounded him. Edison raced to his friend's side, plunging his diamond sword into the dark, boxy cubes with piercing yellow and red eyes until they all disappeared. "Pick up the magma cream," said Billy. Edison knew that magma cream was incredibly helpful when brewing fire-resistant potions, so he collected it while Billy ran ahead. "Down here," Billy called to his friend. "I found it." "The treasure?" "Yes," Billy said. "I'm in the room at the end of the hall." Edison raced down the hall. As he walked into the room, he saw Billy leaning over an open chest. "What's in it?" said Edison. "Diamonds." Billy showed him the open chest. "Let's split up the loot." "I see another chest." Edison bolted to the corner and opened a second chest that was filled with iron ingots. "This one's got good loot, too." "Yeah, I want to check out the other rooms before we leave. Since none of these chests have been emptied, it's a good sign that we might be the first people in this fortress. I'm hoping we find some more treasure." Edison stuffed his inventory with the contents of the chest, dividing the loot equally between the two of them. When they entered the next room, there was one chest. Billy opened it. "More netherwort. You can have it all. I don't really use it." "Seriously?" asked Edison. "You can pay me back by brewing a potion for me," suggested Billy. "Deal." Edison emptied the chest of netherwort, and the duo went off to explore the rest of the nether fortress. After pursuing each room, they declared the fortress empty. They were ready to exit and craft a portal back to the overworld when a yellow blaze rose from the ground and shot a fireball at them. Edison quickly grabbed the snowball from his inventory and dodged the flying flame as the cold slowly destroyed the heated mob. Edison reached for the blaze rod that was his reward. "This will come in very handy when I brew potions later today." "Come on," said Billy. "We should make our way to the portal now. We don't want to arrive in town in the middle of the night. It will make us incredibly vulnerable." The duo raced from the fortress, but once they stepped inside, they saw 3 gas circling the sky to guard the fortress. One of the white bombs floated right in front of them, unleashing a high-pitched sound, opening its red eyes and shooting fireballs at Billy and Edison. A zombie pigman walked past them, but Edison didn't make contact. He was too busy fighting the gas. 2 more gas approached the group, surrounding Billy and Edison with more fireballs. "I can't do this anymore." Edison tried to catch his breath. "There's too many of them." "We can do it." Billy shot an arrow, destroying one of the gas. "We can?" A fireball nearly singed Edison's leg. "The portal is just a few feet away," Billy reminded him as they shot arrows at the gas while trying to avoid the powerful blast from the fireballs. "I know," Edison said, "but it feels like we'll never get there." Another fireball landed by his feet. Edison jumped back and hoped they make it home. Chapter 2. Groove time. Founder's Day. "Use your fist," Billy instructed and punched the fireball, deflecting it back to the gas. "I won't get burned?" asked Edison. "No." Billy slammed his fist into another fireball. Edison reluctantly made a fist and struck the fireball towards him. To his surprise, the fireball didn't burn his hand, and he sent the fireball back at the gas, destroying the white beast. He brushed his hand against his blue jeans. He couldn't believe he didn't feel any different before. It was like magic. "Let's go," Billy called out as he raced towards the portal. "I think we have enough loot to trade in for emeralds and buy a map to the roofed forest biome." "That's awesome," Edison said as he hopped into the portal. The two had been planning a trip to this new biome. Billy had been doing lots of research on the treasures that could be found in the woodland mansion. As purple mist enveloped them, Edison thought he saw something in the green cave dash past, but when he went to take a second look, it was too late, and they were already spawned in the center of town. "It's getting dark," Billy asked as dusk was setting in. "I think we should head home." "Yes," replied Edison. "I want to organize all of our loot so I can start up early and start brewing potions." Edison and Billy walked towards their homes. They lived inside a small seaside village called Farmer's Bay, where they both had bungalows on the water. Farmer's Bay consisted of a cluster of beachside bungalows that shared a common farm. Everyone took turns working on the farm. As they walked past the farm, Edison saw Omar the fisherman picking some carrots. "Working late?" asked Edison. Omar smiles. Omar smiled. I was not seeing you for a few days. I got a lot of fish. I was thinking of making a big dinner tomorrow night with the fish and these carrots. Would you guys like to join me for dinner? That sounds like fun, said Billy. Edison agreed. He was excited to have dinner with Omar. It seems like times like this he really enjoyed living in a small community. There was always dinner invitations and it felt like everyone's family. As he entered his house, he waved goodbye to Billy. Thanks for inviting me on the treasure hunt, Edison said with a smile. No problem, said Billy. Just don't forget to make some potions for me. I don't have too many left. Edison got ready for bed, but before he retired for the night, he unloaded his treasures into a large chest in the corner of the room. He climbed into the bed and thought about a great time he had in the Nether. He fell asleep and woke when someone knocked on his door. His neighbor Peyton was standing at the front of the house and petting Edison's pet ocelot, Cranberry. Fucking Cranberry. She looked up. Oh, good, you're here. I wanted to see if you can make a meeting this afternoon. What's it for? Asked Edison. We are going to have a huge celebration for the Farmers Bay Founders Day. That's so fucking stupid. Farmers Bay Founders Day. I hate this. Why am I doing this to myself? Omar got a bunch of fireworks and is going to be a parade and a party. I'd love for you to join the committee and help us organize the event. Peyton was always organizing celebrations. She had put together many memorable parties. Edison recalled one of her beach parties. It was filled with cakes and music, and at the end of the party, everyone participated in a swimming race, in which Edison was surprised he won. He wasn't the strongest swimmer, but the thrill of the competition invigorated him. He had still had the ribbon from the contest displayed on his wall. With so many good memories from the previous parties, he wanted to be part of Founders Day. They had a small event to commemorate Founders Day last year, but Edison knew it could be bigger. I'd be happy to help, he said. I have a bunch of ideas I want to share. Great, exclaimed Peyton. There's a meeting later down town hall. Can you make it? I don't see why not, said Edison. When Peyton left, Edison walked over to his brewing station. He had an entire section to his house to where he brewed his many potions. He opened the chest, took out some netherwort and blaze rods, and carefully measured all the ingredients he needed to craft his potions. He was in the middle of brewing when there was another knock on the door. Although Edison loved living in a small community, he'd admit there were some negative things about it. He was constantly being interrupted. Every time he started something, there seemed to be another person at his door asking for help and inviting him to dinner. Billy stood at his door. Do you have any my potions? Not yet, explained Edison. I don't even have time to start them. Payne showed up and asked me to be part of the Founders Day celebration meeting. I'm going to that too, said Billy. It sounds like it's going to be a fun event. Well, Edison tried to sound polite as he said, if I don't get any work done this morning, I'm not going to be able to make the meeting. I won't bother you, Billy replied and left Edison to spend the morning working on his potions. Edison carefully placed glass bottles on his brewing stand and positioned all the ingredients for a potion of strength. He poured the water and added the netherwort in the blaze power and started brewing. He poured the batch of potion into several bottles. He was hoping to head to town later to trade his potions with the other villagers. People traveled from across the overworld to buy Edison's potions. He was a respected alchemist. Edison had a stand position between the library and the butcher shop where he sold the potions. He loved making small talk with folks who purchased his potions and finding out how they planned to use them. He had one person who stocked the potions of fire resistance because she planned living in the Nether. After his trip to the Nether, he could never imagine living there. He had been so happy when he hopped on his portal to come home. He had gathered enough supplies for the trip that he wouldn't have to return for a while. Edison began to brew his second batch of potions. As he organized all his ingredients, he was thrilled by Billy rushing into his house. Edison was so surprised they almost knocked over a bottle of potion. What's the matter? Edison was annoyed. He wanted to work on his potions without interruptions, and he already had Billy when he needed to work. I'm sorry to barge in. Billy took a deep breath. His eyes swelled up with tears. Edison could see he was upset. Are you okay? Asked Edison. Do you want a glass of water? Billy nodded as he spelled the words. My treasure. What's wrong with your treasure? Asked Edison. It's missing, Billy cried. Really? Asked Edison. Are you sure you didn't just misplace it? No, Billy was annoyed. When I came back home, my front door was open, which I thought was odd. I saw a bunny in my living room, and I assumed it just wandered into my house. I looked around my home to see if anyone else was there, and I spotted the chest I filled last night. It was open and someone had emptied it. Who would do that? Edison was shocked. They lived in a very safe community. Yes, there were typical attacks from mobs, and the occasional creeper had surprised many of them and treated them to an explosion. But nobody has ever stolen anything from their home. I don't know, Billy said, but I'm going to find out. Edison looked at the clock. We have a meeting at town hall now. Let's go over and see if anyone can help us. How are they going to help us? Billy paced to the length of Edison's living room. Maybe someone saw something, suggested Edison. As Edison and Billy walked to the meeting, Edison wondered if he could have hidden his treasure. He had left his treasure chest in the corner of his room. Despite what happened to Billy, he trusted the people of the town and believed that Billy's treasure would be found soon. It had to be a misunderstanding. Chapter 3, Stolen Treasure. Omar and Peyton were discussing the fireworks celebration when Billy rushed into the room and announced, "I've been robbed." "What are you talking about?" asked Peyton. "Nobody in this town would rob anyone." "I thought the same thing," Billy clarified, "but my chest that was filled with all my treasures from my trip to the Nether was emptied. I searched my house for the missing treasure, but it was nowhere to be found." "Are you sure you just didn't put another chest and it's in a closet somewhere?" asked Omar. "No," Billy wiped tears from his eyes. "I had everything in one chest and now it's all gone. I know it's hard to believe, but it's true." As the group discussed what might have happened to Billy's treasure, his neighbor Aaron walked in. "I can't seem to find any potions in my house." "You were robbed too?" "I guess so. I thought maybe I'd misplaced them, because I hate to think something sinister could happen in our little town. But I can't find them anywhere." "I had the same thing happen to me," said Billy, as he told Aaron of the missing treasures from the Nether. "Wow, I guess my potions could have been stolen. But who would do something like that? We know everyone in town." Aaron looked off to the distance as she spoke, as if she were looking at the townspeople standing in a line trying to figure out which one would steal her potions. Peyton wondered aloud who might be responsible for the missing items. "I did see a new person walking through the village. I tried to talk to her, but she wasn't very friendly. She walked into the library. I can talk to Liz, the librarian, and ask about her." "What did she look like?" asked Billy. Before Peyton could respond, there was a thunderous boom and the rain fell on the town hall, making the windows rattle. Peyton looked over to the door, which was being ripped from the hinges. "Oh no!" Edison cried out. "Zombies!" The impromptu rainstorm had created a small zombie invasion. 3 vacant-eyed zombies lumbered into town hall. The gang weren't prepared for battle. They were only prepared to discuss the fireworks celebration for Founders Day. So they weren't wearing armor as they had to dig through their inventories for their swords. As the zombies lunged toward them, their undead, rotting arms grasping at their warm bodies, the group scrambled to put on their armor and battle the smelly mobs. Smelly. Peyton was the first to grab her diamond sword, and she leapt at one of the zombies with it, slicing into its rancid flesh. She struck the zombie 2 more times, plunging her sword into its stomach and ripping through its purple shirt. The zombie fell to the ground and was destroyed. The others struggled to put on their armor while dodging strikes from zombies. Billy wailed, "I have been struck by an arrow!" Arrows were flying through the gaping doorway while the door had been ripped from the hinges. Peyton slammed her sword into a zombie blocking the exit and raced outside, trying to see what was attacking him with the barrage of arrows. "Skeletons!" she yelled. "There are lots of them in the distance. We have to be prepared. This is going to be a hard battle." Edison wished the sun would come out and end this hostile mob invasion so he could spend his time figuring out what was behind the series of robberies. But wishing for the sun to come out was a good plan. They were in the middle of a serious attack, and he had to come up with a real plan. He adjusted his armor and pulled out a few bottles of potions from his inventory. He splashed the zombies that crowded the entranceway. The skeletons' arrows weakened the zombies, making them easier to destroy with potions. "Help!" Billy called out as he ran out of the town hall and found himself cornered by 3 skeletons. Chapter 4. Burger King Minecraft lettuce. A stranger. Edison raced to his friend's side, dousing the bony beast with a mixture of potions that annihilated the skeletons in seconds. "Thanks," Billy exhaled. "No problem." Edison replied breathlessly. He heard skeleton bones clanging behind him. He turned around and threw a potion at its bony body. Billy plunged his sword into the skeleton until it was destroyed. He picked up the dropped bones on the ground and handed a few to Edison. "I hope nobody steals these," Billy said as he battled the remaining skeletons. The residents of Farmer's Bay let out a collective sigh of relief when the sun came out. Peyton, Aaron, and Omar rushed towards Billy and Edison. They ran potions and helped figure out why there were robberies in town. "Do you have a potion of regeneration?" Aaron asked Edison. Edison pulled out a potion from his inventory. Aaron thanked him and asked him how much it would cost. Edison smiled. "It's free. Don't worry about it." Omar fixed the door as the group walked back to the building to discuss the recent robberies. "I can't believe we had this meeting to talk about the Founders' Day celebration, and now it's turned out to be a much more serious meeting," Peyton said. Omar finished the door and joined the rest of the group. He was a fisherman and also a skilled builder. He was always repairing doorways and replacing windows to the town when they were attacked by hostile mobs. Since he was an expert builder, he had the nicest house in town. Where everyone else had small bungalows, Omar lived in a stone mansion in his own private beach. He generously lent the house to the townspeople whenever they had an event. The Founders' Day party is being held on his beach. "Thanks for repairing the door, Omar," Peyton said, and the others gave him a nod. "What is going on in this town?" Omar questioned. "For the first time in my life, I'm actually nervous that the treasures and other resources I have stored in my house might be missing when I return." "I feel the same way," said Peyton, and she suggested that they halted the meeting so they could see whether there were any more robberies amongst the residents. "Before we go, didn't you say something about a stranger who was in town?" asked Billy. "Yes," she said. "I saw someone enter the library. I'm pretty sure it was the woman. Let's talk to Liz, the librarian, and see if we can figure out who that person is and why she's here," said Billy. "She might be here because she wants to purchase potions," suggested Edison. "Or she might be here because she wants to rob us," said Peyton. "Let's not jump to any conclusions," said Aaron. Omar added, "We should at least talk to her." They all agreed, and the group made its way towards the library. Edison was sad because they had to question the stranger who visited their town. In the past, all the residents of Farmers Bay were always welcoming to strangers. Now he felt as if this newcomer, who might be possibly visiting the town to purchase potions from him, was going to be interrogated by them. "I don't think we should assume this person is the one robbing us," Edison told the group. Payne reassured him. "Don't worry, we aren't going to attack her. We are just going to politely ask her a few questions. Right, guys?" The group headed into the town on a mission. Liz was standing in front of the library when Payne approached her. "Hi, Liz. Is there anyone out of town who was in the library?" "There was a woman with red hair and glasses earlier today, but she left a while ago." "Did you happen to talk to her?" asked Billy. "No," Liz asked. "Why? Is there someone I should know about her?" Billy explained. "Someone stole my treasures that got in the nether," Aaron interrupted, "and somebody stole my potions." "That's awful," Liz sympathized with them. But she also wondered if someone might have had the stolen books in the library. She hadn't checked the cells thoroughly in a while. She excused herself and went to the library. Walking back to the homes, Billy asked Payne, "Do you remember what the woman with the red hair and glasses was wearing?" "Yes," Payne said. "There was something a bit different about the way she dressed." "What do you mean?" questioned Edison. "She wore jeans and a green shirt, but instead of a jacket, she was dressed in a green robe." Edison stopped walking. Dun dun dun. Chapter 5, Brewing. "What's the matter, Edison? Are you okay?" asked Billy. We were in the nether. I saw someone in a green robe." "Really?" asked Omar. "Did you talk to them?" Billy was confused. "We didn't see anyone in the nether. In fact, it was one of the few times I've never been able to obtain all the treasure from the nether fortress." "What are you talking about, Edison?" "When we were at the portal, I thought I saw someone run past in a green robe. I was ready to take a second look, but it was too late. We were already in Farmers Bay." Billy was staying next to Edison on the portal, and he knew there wasn't anybody there. "I didn't see anyone when we were on the portal, and you never mentioned seeing someone there." Billy wasn't certain there wasn't anyone in that section in the nether. His years as a treasure hunter had prepared him to always be on the lookout for people who might want to steal his treasure. And in all his years as a treasure hunter, nobody had ever plundered his loot. This was his badge of honor, and other treasure hunters respected him for it. And since he had never robbed in the past, it made the stolen treasure from his house even more devastated. "I saw it quickly. I went to take a second look, and the figure was gone," Edison explained again. "That would make sense," said Payton. "I could see someone following you home and stealing your treasure." "But what about me?" asked Aaron. "I wasn't on a treasure hunt, so why would someone walk into my house and steal all my potions?" Omar reasoned. Maybe they saw your house and figured you had some valuables there. Farmers Bay was a small and extremely safe town, which meant nobody locked their doors. This made it very easy for someone to break into people's homes and steal anything they had stored in their chests. I hope they left this town and this mess is all over, said Payne. I just want to get back to planning Founders Day. I have a bunch of fireworks, so I want to put on an elaborate show. I need time to plan. I love fireworks, Omar smiled. I'd be happy to help you with planning. Great, Payne said as they reached to the door. Let's meet in Town Hall tomorrow at the same time. We can start the meeting again. What about my treasure? Asked Billy. Even if nobody else gets robbed, I still want to find my stolen treasure. And I want to find my potions, said Aaron. We might not be able to find them. I'm sorry to tell you that, but it's true. I think the best idea is to acquire new treasure and potions, Payne said rather coldly as she opened her door. Her pet wolf, Cookie, came out of her house. Cookie wagged his tail as he greeted her. Payne invited the group in for cake and milk. Billy didn't accept her invitation because he didn't seem to understand how much this missing treasure meant to him. He was deeply annoyed when he had heard Edison say, "We'd love to come in for cake and milk." This infuriated Billy. This wasn't the first time Edison accepted an invitation for the both of them. Even though they were best friends, they were separate people. Edison had no right to say we would come in. Billy looked over at Edison. He seemed oblivious to his glare. When the gang entered Payne's living room, she shrieked. "Are you okay?" Omar rushed to her side. "Look," Payne pointed to her open chest beside the corner of the living room. "It's gone." "What's gone?" asked Billy. He thought it was ironic that Payne seemed so comfortable with his missing treasure. When then she was robbed, she became hysterical. "The fireworks," Payne explained as she raced towards the house. Aaron and Omar followed closely behind her. Billy and Edison went in the living room. "We have to help her," said Edison. "She didn't want me to help me when my treasure was stolen," said an irritated Billy. "Stop thinking about yourself," Edison told Billy. "I'm not the only one thinking about myself. This is the treasure that I was going to use to buy the master of the Roof Forest biome, remember? You wanted to join me on that trip." "I know." Edison recalled their plans to go to the Roof Forest. "If we were able to go, we might find a chest of gunpowder in the Woodland Mansion, and we could use that to craft fireworks to replace the stolen ones." "But we can't go now, because we don't have enough emeralds to get the map." Payne screamed from her bedroom. "Every one of them is empty. I have nothing." Billy and Edison joined the others in Payne's bedroom. Billy said, "I'm sorry you've been robbed. I know how you feel. It's awful." "We have to get to the bottom of this," explained Aaron. Elmo wondered aloud, "I hope all my stuff is still in my house." "Let's go check," suggested Payne, and the group rushed out of her house and made the sandy path to Elmer's home. Elmer's home was intact. "Looks like nothing was stolen. I hope the robbery's over for we were the only unfortunate ones," said Aaron. Billy and Edison excused themselves and walked back to their homes. Edison had a suggestion. "I have an idea how we can get the emerald to the map to the Roofed Forest." "How?" Billy asked. "I can brew a bunch of potions and sell them tomorrow. I can ask people to pay me in emeralds." "That's a great idea. Do you need help brewing potions?" Edison nodded. "That would be great." As they walked inside Edison's house, they were both nervous Edison might have been robbed and they weren't able to brew the potions. They collectively let out a sigh of relief when they saw the ingredients for the potions on the brewing stand along with the few potions Edison had crafted. Edison carefully instructed his assistant Billy on what he needed to do as they brewed a potion of invisibility. He pulled out a fermented spider eye out from the chest. As he looked inside the chest, he noticed there were only 2 fermented spider eyes left, when he is certain there was more than 10. In fact, the chest had been overflowing with fermented spider eyes that morning. He searched through the rest of his supplies to find it also been looted. "Is something the matter?" asked Billy. Edison didn't answer. He was too preoccupied with wondering why the thief only stole a portion of his supplies when he's emptied everyone else's chests. Do you think he wouldn't notice the missing supplies? He wished that he could splash the potion on his body and watch as he caught the criminal in action. The only problem was, they had no idea who was robbing them. At the point, the thief was an invisible threat. Chapter 6. Original Plans. "Are you certain that the chest was full?" Billy asked. "I'm certain." Edison looked through the rest of his supplies. "It's weird, but whoever robbed me just took a small amount from each chest. Maybe they did that because they don't want you to know that you were robbed? It doesn't make sense. They stole all of your treasure and Aaron's and Peyton's. Why would they only take a little bit of mine?" Billy put a finger to his lips, signified that you should be quiet. In a whisper, he said, "Maybe they're still here." Edison quietly grabbed a sword from his inventory and tiptoed through his house. When he searched the closet behind every door, there was no way there. Perhaps they splashed himself with a potion of invisibility you brewed. They heard us coming and ran out. Billy wondered where the thief was hiding, or they ran out of the room and couldn't carry it all. Edison said he put his sword back into his inventory. What if they're still here and invisible? There? Edison paused. Do you think there are two of them? What about the woman in the green robe? We have no idea if the woman's the one who robbed us, said Billy. But I saw her in another, said Edison. Don't you believe me? Edison nodded. I guess so, but I didn't really see her. Okay, but what if the thief is someone from our town who was just trying to distract the woman in the green robe? Suggested Edison. Do you think Peyton is behind this? She couldn't be, right? She's a town cheerleader. You're right, she couldn't be. Plus, she wouldn't rob herself. Unless she wanted to make it look like she was the victim, said Billy. The duo had many theories, but nothing could be proven. Edison said, I'm going to solve these crimes. Okay, but you promised me to go back to the roof forest with me. Can you solve this when we get back? Billy, I have to do this now. You can't take a break when you're working on the case. Edison, you're not a detective. You're an alchemist. You don't have any clues. Let's just go to the roof forest like we planned, and then you can go back to playing detective. I have an idea. I can do both. I will set up my stand tomorrow, and I'll chat with all the people who will buy my potions. I'll see if there are robberies in neighboring towns. When I'm done, I should have enough emeralds to buy a map, and then we should plan our treasure hunt. And I'll also have more information to help us solve these crimes. You better not back out on this trip, Billy remarked as he got ready to leave. It was dusk, and they knew they would be vulnerable to hostile mobs. As Billy opened the door, an arrow flew across him, piercing his unarmored chest, and he lost a heart. Edison quickly put on his armor and grabbed a handful of potions. When he stepped outside, he was prepared to see 2 spider jockeys on his lawn. 2! Billy cried as he put on his armor. That never happens. Edison traded his sword for a bow and arrow and shielded himself as he stood in the doorway and shot the skeleton, striking its first arrow. Edison was feeling good about striking the skeleton on his first try, but he lost confidence when he started into 2 sets of red eyes. The spiders who were controlling the skeletons who rode atop them advanced towards him. Billy struck one of the spiders with his diamond sword. He slammed the sword deep into the spider until the mob was annihilated. Good job, Edison exclaimed to unleash the wave of arrows at both skeletons. His arrows destroyed the skeleton that was displaced from the obliterated spider. 10 experience points dropped to the ground, but neither of them could reach for the points because the remaining spider jockey was ready to battle. As the spider jockey jocked towards them, the weakened skeleton fell forward and actually hit himself with an arrow was instantly destroyed. Billy raced over to the spider and slayed the arachnid in one swoop. That was intense, Billy sighed. You better get home quickly. We don't want to have any more battles, said Edison. He lit a torch and left it outside his home to ward off any other creatures of the night. Edison was glad to climb to bed at the end of the day. He pulled his red wool covers over his body and fell asleep. In the morning, he had gathered all his potions, placed them into a chest, and walked towards the village. He knew he had to sell enough potions to get the emeralds for the map, but he was too busy focusing on the questions he asked for the customers. He truly believed that one of the customers would offer him some clues in solving this mystery. Chapter 7. Customers. The sun was shining in Edison's eyes, and it made him squint. He was patiently waiting for customers, but there weren't any around. Normally he had a line of people waiting to purchase potions, but ever since he had gone back from the treasure hunt, business was slow. He thought people really loved Farmer's Bay and was worried that going on the treasure hunt might affect his business. He looked out on an empty street, hoping his business would pick up. There was a slight ocean breeze, but the heat from the sun was making him sweat. Edison was ready to pack his potions when, suddenly, his first customer arrived. A woman wearing a sparkly orange jumpsuit walked over to Edison's stand. Are you Edison the alchemist? She asked. Edison recognized most of his customers, but she was new. Yes, I am. Great, she smiled. I need all your potions of fire resistance you have in stock. All of them? Asked Edison. Yes, she replied. How many do you have? Edison looked through his supply. He realized he only packed 2 bottles of fire-resistant potions. I don't have much. I only have these 2 bottles. He pulled them from his case. The woman sighed. I guess that will do. Edison wondered why he needed all the potions, but he didn't want to appeal nosy and just stuck his in basics. You pay in emeralds? Of course. How many? The emerald pulled a handful of emeralds from her inventory, to which Edison found strange. Why didn't you wait until he imagined how many he wanted? 2. That's a good deal. I wish you had more. She handed the emerald over and gave her the potions. I might have some more tomorrow, Edison said. She began to walk away and he called out, Where are you from? Huh? She turned around and walked back towards him. Where are you from? I haven't seen you before. How did you know I was here? Everyone knows about you, she said. You're famous. Edison blushed. I am? Before he had a chance to ask more questions, a few regular customers appeared. Edison, one customer called out, I am so glad you're back. I need potions of healing and invisibility. It was James. James always bought Edison's potions. He lived in a snowy biome, and it would take him 2 days to get to Farmer's Bay. Edison always wore a heavy coat, and Edison went, Oh well, James always wore a heavy coat, and Edison wondered how he could keep on during this heat wave. Edison was wearing a red t-shirt and jeans and was overheated. Edison grabbed James' potions and handed them to the woman in the sparkly orange jumpsuit when she walked out of town. He wanted to call out to her, but he knew it was pointless since she couldn't hear him, and he had a line of customers. Edison was questioning if he'd make a good detective. He wasn't getting any answers to the case he decided to take on. How was life in the snowy biome? He asked Edison. Have you built a bigger igloo like you told me you wanted to do? Things are good, said James, and I did build a bigger igloo. You have a good memory. The next customer, Anna, was from the neighboring town, and Edison went to ask her if there were any robberies in her town. How are things in Verdant Valley? Asked Edison. Not good, Anna explained. 2 homes have been robbed. My neighbor had a entire chest looted. That's happening here too, explained Edison. I'm trying to figure out who's robbing everyone. Wow, you're the town's detective? Anna asked. Amateur one, he chuckled, and I'm not getting very far in the investigation. I've also been trying to solve the crimes, Anna confessed, but it's harder than I thought. We should pull out information. I don't have any information. We had a stranger in the town who wore green robe that's about it, said Edison. Anna moved over to the side so Edison could handle the other customers. He wanted to question each person, but Anna distracted him. He felt that she was questioning him. She asked him all sorts of questions about the robberies in his town and offered very little information on the ones in her town. I have to go, Anna said and added. When you get more information, let me know. Same with you, said Edison, but Anna just walked away without a reply. Edison took note of Anna's behavior. He tried to question the rest of the customers, but nobody had any new info. There was a long break between customers, and Edison was ready to pack up his wares for the night when an old man with long hair and a cane walked slowly towards him and called out weakly, Are you packing up? Please wait. No rush, Edison replied. Take your time, I'll wait. When the old man finally reached Edison, he said, I need a potion of strength. My bones are so weak, and I'm so tired. Edison looked through his case. You're unlike, we have a bunch of potions. I need 3 bottles, said the old man as he was reading from his cage. That's 3 emeralds. I don't have anything to trade, explained the old man. I'm afraid I can't sell you the potions then. Edison felt bad for telling the older man he could sell him potions. I can barter. Barter? Edison was confused. I'll tell you your future. You give me 3 bottles of potion, explained the man. My future? I can see into the future. Really? Edison questioned. He also wondered if this man was wise, could figure out who was behind the robberies, but he realized he probably wasn't a psychic or someone who could predict your future, but rather someone who wanted to get potions for free. Yes, really, said the old man. You don't believe me? No, Edison said. I don't. I will tell you something about yourself, and you can tell me if you want to bother. Okay, tell me. The old man looked into Edison's dark brown eyes. You have a very good friend who wants you to join you on a trip. You're conflicted because you don't know if you should go. Edison was stunned. Okay, we can barter. He handed 3 bottles of potion to the old man, who quickly placed them in his inventory. You must go on the trip with him. But I'm not sure we have enough emeralds to get to the map. The old man cleared his throat. You do. Okay, said Edison. What else? I can tell you're very upset about something that's disturbing the peace in your town. You'll find answers on that trip, deep underground. What? It'll make sense when you find it, said the man. But you can't get him up. Even when it seems like all you reach are dead ends, you must move forward. Edison found this reading of the future to be extremely vague. It didn't make any sense. The only way you could succeed is through friendship. Iconic. Oh, why am I surprised? This is a Minecraft book. I should be expecting, lesser plot than what I already am. Anyways. As the old man disappeared down the path, Billy came running down the street. Edison, Billy spoke quickly, I found a cartographer and he has a map to the roofed forest biome that he claims contains a woodland mansion. How much does it cost? 12 emeralds. Edison looked into his inventory. He had exactly 12 emeralds. Chapter 8. God, hurt. Pain. I should have done that. Great, Billy explained. The cartographer is in Verdant Valley. We have to meet him before dusk. Edison wanted to tell Billy about the old man, but he wasn't quite sure how to explain the exchange. He was worried Billy might think he was naive for trading valuable potions for his fortune. Instead, he mentioned what Anna told him about Brita Valley. Anna bought some potions this morning. She told me that there's some robbers in Brita Valley. Really? Billy was surprised. Yes, confirmed Edison. We should stop by Anne's house to get some information about what is happening in her town. Like me, she has amateur sleuths in that cave. I'm losing my mind. It's been 40 minutes. And I'm still reading the fucking Minecraft book. I hate it here. Nightmare. There's spiders all over my closet. Oh my god. Okay, hold up.